Nick, what are we doing today?
Truck things.
Truck things? You're sitting on the tractor though.
I know.
Okay. Me and Nick are working on the truck today. We've already been working on it. You can see the tools. We went to the new Napa store today, which is the biggest in Northwest Ohio. Only by inventory size, right? Something like that. It still had a small showroom, but it was huge because it's got like $1 million worth of inventory or something. But we went and got some new hoses made. I got to get that one made. I got to take a bunch more off that need to get fixed before the transmission goes in. But I'm having problems finding this hose. Well, now. This is the metal hose that comes out of the air compressor. And the places I went today, I went to a Napa, I went to an Advanced Auto, and then we went to a truck dealership, and they couldn't help me. So I got a couple more places I'm going to try to hopefully get that done. But what I did for hoses, as you can see, this one here, that's a new one. I just went with hydraulic hoses. I can get them easy and don't got to worry about making a bunch of fittings and screwing them up and not working right. So, but we got to take those 3 hoses off. They go all the way to the back. There's another hose up under there that's got to come off. And then me and Nick are tracing wires under here, figuring out which crap needs to go, which crap needs fixed. Probably get a better view of the driver's side. We got all these controls. Well, I got a battery missing because I put it in the dump truck to start it, run it around. But we got all these controls here. We got that one's for the... Uh-oh. That one's for, what is that one for? Tailgate control, it's not hooked up. That one's for the 5th wheel slide, it's not hooked up. And this one's for the PTO, it is hooked up. And I don't know what this is for. No idea. So, we got some hoses to trace, to cut off and get out of the way. Then I got some wires that run up in there somewhere that need to be traced and cut off. Then I got a wire that goes over there, so we'll get going on that. And I actually gotta go. You got a charger in your truck, Nick?
What?
From a phone. Or they take different chargers, do that, don't they?
No, I got a charger.
You got one that'll plug into that over there?
No, I got a car charger.
Oh. Well, we'll go inside and get a charger then. The phone's dying. So we'll go do that and catch up with you later.
I feel like bad things could happen.
Sounds like a Cummins.
We're too childish.
I know. Okay, the flash ain't working. Okay, so there's the one new hose I put in. There's where the other connects, but look, you can see I used zip ties to mark my hoses. Cat mechanic taught me that. I found I had enough zip ties that I can do that. So I got to get the green one. Is a hose that runs down to here. I got to get that one replaced. I got to get this one replaced because it's up under here where the transmission is. And there's another one right there you can see that needs replaced, but I can get to that from the wheel well out there. These here are the battery cables. They got a loom on them. I'm not worried about those. But them other three, the blue, the white, and the black, are these brake lines. And they got to get replaced all the way back to there. This is a fuel line. The other one, those should be fuel lines. They need replaced too. I might try to find something else to replace them with instead of hydraulic hoses. But they run up over the transmission. I could probably get away without changing them now. But the thing is, they got a loom on it, or a crimp holding them. But let's see, yeah, that runs over to there. That one, I can probably get away with hose like this one. It's just regular rubber hose. They got crimped on there with radiator hose clamps. So I could probably get away with something like that. And that'll do it for the hoses up under the truck. Somebody's replaced all these easier hoses to get to. So I just do the hard ones, I guess. And I went with regular hydraulic hose because it's rated for 2300 psi. So that's good for 120 psi. And they should last a long time. Right, Nick? Mm-hmm. Nick's over there making us some extension cords for running battery tenders too. I bought ends for that. And but you see, I got wires hanging here. These wires, I think they went to a CB. They run over up that way somewhere. They got to trace them out. And then I got these two wires here. I don't know what they go to. They were cut off. Then that group of wires goes to the fuel sending unit. And I got this wire that I have no idea where it goes. And then these are spaghetti lines for the air for the PTO, because right there's the fitting I broke. And that turns the PTO on. And then I got those two hoses which go up to the valves up there in the truck I was talking about that need to be cut off. And then wires that go to one of them valves. So we're doing a little cleanup. We'll scratch some of this grease off, maybe throw a primer and coat of black paint or something on it, just to pretty it up. And that'll be that. But we'll get all the hoses off that need to come off. I got all the hoses back there that need replaced too, but we're going to worry about the ones that are up under the truck that I can't get to with the transmission in first. So I'll get some more of these out and we'll go from there. Okay, so I made a discovery. I've been chasing wires, and the one wire ran back there and was grounded to that strap for some reason, and it ran up to that switch pod for the PTO and stuff. I don't know why they wanted to ground it way back there, but that's where it was. The yellow or the orange and red wire went up here to the master switch, and I took them off. They were run up into the cab, I believe, for hots, for CBs. Now I'll probably get a little bit thicker gauge wire, run up in here and put like a junction box or something, so I could put like a cigarette lighter in here. It's got one in it, but I don't know if it works. Or to put a CB or a radio hookup in here. It's got a radio up there, but it's an AM radio. Those don't work, so something like that. And then the other two wires I found dangling down there, they go up here, and like I thought, they were reverse lights. Now I had Nick look earlier for a wire hookup on this transmission to see if he could find it, and he couldn't find it. Well, I used my investigation skills, and I got to looking, and if you look at the transmission shift pattern, reverse is up here in this corner all the way to the left and up. And if you go over here to the transmission, and some of you probably already can tell where it goes, but when you're all the way up and to the left, the bottom of your stick's all the way over to the right and down. Right here was the switch. And now let me get my light back out. When you push it back, there's a little ball in there it pushes up that pushes against this little ball, which makes contact. Well, the top of that sensor, or whatever you want to call it, is broke. So I gotta get a new one of them, and then we'll have reverse lights. I don't know how easy it's gonna be to find one of them. But I guess it'd be like the same principle as an oil pressure switch. But what I want to do, get some square tubing and make a bumper for this thing, and put a red light here, a red light here, and then a white light, and same over there. So we'll have reverse lights and stuff. And then I'm going to make a headache rack, just a real little headache rack that'll probably bolt up to here or bolt it to the frame or something. It can't come too far back because of the trailers. And run it up there and put some LED lights on it for load lights, because we're going to use this truck primarily in the dark. We're going to use it early in the morning, it'll be dark, and we're going to use it late in the day, it'll be dark. And I might make it to where I can screw some bolts and slide the rails out, make it on rails, so that way the lights will shine past the trailers for when we're using them in the dark, because kids are going to be throwing straw, you know, off to the sides. So I'll do something like that, then we won't have a problem there. What do you think, Nick? Good idea?
Mm-hmm.
Put them on like extendable, like tow mirrors.
Yeah.
So that's where we got with that. I got a couple more hoses to get off, and get a putty knife down there and do some scraping, covered in grease and everything else. You think it's too cold to throw some primer on it? What? You know, wire brush it, maybe throw some primer on it.
Maybe, we'll see.
Too cold for that, or it's what, in the 40s today?
Yeah, it might be a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see how the paint
just
acts.
to make it look good. It's not going to be seen other than by a transmission that needs a coat of paint too. But okay, let's keep working. Nick's still chugging away at making extension cords for battery tenders. They're what, 15-foot cords, 20-foot cords, nice little cords.
This one's the longest one, so I think that's about 20 feet.
So I got some 100-footers I got from work that somebody broke, and I had to cut the ends off of, and they're nice heavy-duty cords. So I'm going to have him make up one of them. Okay, so let's get back to work here. Alright, so we got the hoses out. Look at how quality these hoses are. These ones are under the brakes. Look at that one. I'm surprised this truck even drove. No, that's not even the worst one. Let's see. This one's in decent shape. It's been replaced, but we're going to change it. But now this one, right here. This is the way it came off the truck. Look at that. And I drove it like this. I drove it, Nick.
I know.
That's probably why my brakes wouldn't release fast and set very fast, because the air's probably not going through this hose. We should cut it and look in it.
Oh, heck, I know what was going on.
Look at that.
All the bad things waiting to happen.
Focus. It's not going to focus on that. But what me and Nick are doing now, Nick's cleaning the sending unit. This tank is weeping a little bit. Now, it's not dripping on the floor, but it's got moisture on it. And you can see it's rusting out pretty bad. I'm going to put new fuel lines on it while we're doing it, because they run up along the transmission. But I'm going to delete this tank. I mean, I'm not going to be using it enough that it needs 2 tanks anyways. And I could put a bigger tank on the other side. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this tank off. We'll keep all the mounting brackets. We'll keep the tank in case we want to get another tank made. But we're going to take the sending unit and put in that tank. And we'll reroute the return into that tank. Delete this tank. And make it a single tank. Get rid of a bunch of that hosing and stuff. Because that's just... something could happen, could rip that off, and I could lose all my diesel fuel. It comes... that tank over there routes into this tank. They got a T at the bottom with a shut off, and then it goes up there. So we're going to move everything to the driver's side, because that's where you fuel up anyways. That's where your pump is. That's got a bigger hole in it for fuel. So in between these 2 tanks, I should actually have a full tank, because they're both about half full. But Nick's cleaning stuff up. Put the sending unit that one. They're both the same diameter. This one's just not as long. That one over there is 33 inches. This one's just shy of it. So, but we'll delete this tank, get her out of the way, clean up. The thing's got 4 miles of fuel line on it. And maybe reroute that big hose, because right now it's kind of going under the thing. Need to take his hydraulic tank off. It doesn't, this is its cap. And who knows if what's in there and everything. It needs drained, and it leaks too. You can see it's got a puddle. But that's where we're at now. We got all the hoses off. We kind of cleaned the cab up. I took this valve assembly out of the cab. I don't know what it was for. It wasn't hooked up to nothing. If anybody could tell me, would be great. It was this, and all this does right here is this. So I don't know what it was for. We took it off. It's got a tailgate lock switch in it still. It's got a air fifth wheel plug in it still, and that's actually that port right there. That's plumbed in. So when we get a new fifth wheel for it, if we get an air slide, it's for an air slide is what it's for. We do that because this one, you got to have 3 people to slide it. You got to have a driver, and you got to have a person to pull the pins out on each side. So I can't wait for this fifth wheel to be gone. As soon as I can find a good one cheap with rails and everything, we'll put that on it. But we're going to switch over to that tank and maybe pull the fuel lines, because this line and the main fuel line both run up where the transmission is. So we'll get them pulled, figure out what size we're going to need for new fuel lines. And I'm just going to run them right in the frame rail on the driver's side, because that's where the fuel filters and everything are placed on the engine. Right there's the fuel filter. So we'll tuck everything in on the driver's side and call her good. Need to reroute this line. This runs over to that tank, which that's just an auxiliary tank for tools or something.
Yeah. Might
So
clean the surface of this one.
I scraped it up a little bit. There's some sandpaper somewhere. So we'll get this done and catch up with you. Me and Nick did the old-fashioned trick to get the diesel out of the tank, make it a little bit lighter because it was half full. No, we're not super experienced in the siphoning of fluids. We're just kind of smart. We don't do this professionally. So, well, we got the sending unit switched over. We had to clock it. Keep an eye on that, Nick. I don't want diesel all over my floor. We got the sending unit clocked. It's weird. 5, it seems difficult to get them, but we had to clock the gasket, and then we clocked the top. It's got a square notch, the actual sending unit does, for this top plate. So we only had 4 options, and it took us 2 tries, but we got it. We got the return clocked in there. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get regular old fuel line with barbed fittings, and we'll shoot it out, and we'll run it along the top. That's the way this one was run. Run it along the top up to wherever it goes up here, and the draw will run up and in the frame rail. So that's that. We'll get this transferred over and be done with it and get rid of that problem. So, or potential problem. Maybe we'll get us a nice tank made eventually. 2 of them put on it, and we'll have 100 gallons of fuel. So, okay, catch you in a minute. It's naked. Got all kinds of room for activities now. Look at this tank. They've patched it. It's got a hole in it. Right here's where this diesel is weeping out. Somewhere in here. I can't really see it, but then they fiberglassed over it. And there was a big hunk. Right here it is. Of fiberglass. This was over that braze. So that tank was doomed. We got her off. I'm going to take this wet line off. I know Scotty Rock's going to be cringing. Probably won't be permanent, but that pump leaks like a sieve, and I got this line in the way. I'm not going to be using it right away. So, because what I want to do, I want to get a different hose. That hose is going to be expensive because it's like 2-inch. But what I want to do, I want it straight from this tank straight up to there. I want to do a 90 and another 90 straight back. so that way I don't gotta have so much hose to do this loop. But get that hose off, put a plug in the pipe, or in the pipe fitting for the tank, and take the pump and hose off, put it on the shelf. It's only 4 bolts in that fitting there. Get that out of the way, and then I can put my transmission back in from this side, and it'll be nice. I think the truck actually starting to look a little bit better. Looks better without that tank there. That tank looked like crap. The way it was all rusted and just wow. Wow, we had to torch the bolts for the tank mounts. I couldn't get them broke loose at all. We got this one broke loose, but gee whiz. Then you couldn't turn them with a ratchet, so I said screw it, we'll cut them. And I'm working on taking the mounts off for the fuel lines. We'll get them pulled out of here and see where we go from there. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm not super tired, but I don't want to stay up too late. Nick went home to get his thermals. He said he's getting cold, so we'll keep going a little bit. If we can get that pump off tonight, well, I can go get a plug for it tomorrow. I got to get a plug for that. There was a pressure gauge down in here I broke off. I'm not going to put a pressure gauge back in it. I don't think it needs it. I got to get a plug for that. I think that's it as far as plugs. I might get a couple 90s if I can't spin that shut-off valve, or not shut-off valve. Well, it's a shut-off valve, but it feeds the fuel pump. I might see if I can twist that to get it to shoot straight that way. And I got to figure out where the wires for the fuel gauge, because I don't need all this wire, but this wire is stiff and hard. So we will see where that runs, and I'll splice into it or something. I think it should run up to that bank behind the seat, and then it all goes as one wiring harness up into the dash. Should be back in here, and I can't turn my flash on for you to see, but it should run up into there and connect some other stuff. I got Nick's light somewhere. Oh, down there. Well, I'll get some work done, and I'll show you here in a minute. What are you doing? Okay, we got the pump off. Got the big hose off. That was quite the chore.
Yes.
You're in the way of our technology we use, Nick.
Oh, am I?
We use that 1830s wrench and big old crescent wrench. Big old crescent wrench. But look, Nick did some more digging. Found more brazen. We took a screwdriver and hit it with a hammer once, and she was weak. Weak. So look at all the room. We're gonna clean our mess up tomorrow. It's really late, and I don't have any oil dry to throw down. So we'll clean our mess up tomorrow. And yeah, here's this pump. It's commercial. That's what it says. So we'll keep it on the shelf in case we decide we want to do some lowboying or some end dumping. But I don't see much of that going to be going on anytime soon, so we'll just keep it out of the way. I was talking to Nick, it'd be nice to take this tank off and put that fuel tank under there and have all this open in here. But that'd be a lot of work to modify some of that. We really don't need to do that right now. And then if we put the wet line back on it, we'll have to have a wet line tank. And so we're just going to leave it as is. We'll get us a toolbox and mount here, though. I think that'll be sassy. So I didn't get the fuel lines off, but I found where the fuel gauge line goes, and if we're out here tomorrow, we'll finish taking the fuel lines off, and we'll make us some new wires for the sending unit, because they're about 4 feet too long and brittle and broken. And we'll run us some new wires for the reverse lights.
Mm-hmm. Gotta go get a new switch too, hopefully.
Yeah, I don't think AutoZone will have one of those, but
we'll have to see.
We can see, get a plug for this tank. Or busted that open.
We should start making a list, actually.
Yeah, we need a list. We need a whiteboard.
Yes, we do.
It'd be like an official shop with a whiteboard.
Official.
Official. So that's what's going on here. Maybe we'll replace that other brake chamber too.
Yeah, I mean, heck, it's already got a new one on.
Yeah, I bought 2 of them because I thought that was the problem of why I wasn't getting brakes. So I might as well put the other brake chambers on it.
Might as well.
Gotta get some bolts right there where we took them out.
Heck, when we're done, we could drive this thing to California.
I'd drive it to California now. I can't believe we drove it with the way it was. That surprised me. Look at that. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Shot.
Shot. I bet right where it's bent too is where my air restrictions are. Let me blow in one end and see if it comes out the other. See if you can feel any air coming out there, Nick. It's this one right here by the GoPro.
Oh, yeah, I can feel some.
You can feel it?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's as much as I'm blowing in, though. I don't know. But anyways, that's what we got done today. We got all the other airlines out that are going to be in the way of the transmission. We got fuel tank moved. Got the pump out. We did a little bit of cleaning in the cab. Kind of figured out where we're going next. Got some wiring to fix. I don't know if I want to replace the clutch in it.
Might as well.
I don't know, but if there ain't nothing wrong with it,
Yeah.
it's not like we're going to be driving it much.
Oh. Yeah, just check and see. See how bad it is.
I mean, it could put a new throwout bearing in it, a new clutch in it, and a new pilot bearing. I think it's got a pilot bearing in the flywheel for the transmission. Or bushing or something. It's got something in there. I don't know if I want to do all that. You guys let me know. What do you think we should do? Replace the clutch and the throwout bearing in it? I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But who knows when it had a clutch last. This truck is 40-some years old.
Yeah.
And you can tell it's been rode hard.
She was
and
wet.
Yeah, not well maintained. And when it was maintained, it was kind of just thrown together.
Very shoddy work.
So this is the most love this truck's got in a long time. Yeah.
That's awful. Fuel tank, sorry.
That's the attitude you have when you buy a cheap truck and you don't want to put any money into it. I bought this truck cheap and I've probably put more money into it than I paid for it. I know I have because I fixed the transmission. And I put belts on it. It's going to get a filter change and an oil change before it leaves here. And then I got to get all 8 new back tires for it and rims. The fronts have already been converted and they're pretty good. And Nick wants to name the truck Hercules because that's what the front tires say. And he says it just looks like a big bad truck.
It does. It does. Name's Mint.
She's a big one. Anyways, we're going to end this video. I'll try to get this uploaded Sunday for you. Probably edit it tonight while I'm eating a snack, and then because they're pretty much.
Tonight it's like 2 o'clock in the morning.
I know, but it's easy to edit. It's all on my phone today. I can just throw them together and bing, bang, boom.
It's 2:26.
2:26 in the morning. Me and Nick go hardcore. So if I had wood shavings, we would have been cleaning up by now. But I don't have any wood shavings. They're at my house. So, all right, we'll end this video here, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.